Round 2. Victory. Round 3. Victory.
Yeah. Okay, the things I really like the new map in for the Wulin faction, the path, the new breach map. The only thing I want to complain about is a very little thing to complain about. Like it's like 98% perfect map. It's the best map in the whole of For Honor to today. It's absolutely a beautiful map to see, and it's so nice with all the elements. The only thing that I want to complain about is the mini warriors and the commander. I think they build a city, a Chinese city, as the map, as a building, the statues, paintings, like beautiful things. But one thing I'm missing is why do they don't put in the game mini Chinese warriors and like Chinese commander in the Chinese city, but they use the same warrior. This is a strange for me that samurai have their own warriors, the Vikings have their own small mini warriors and commanders, and the same for knight. But the Wulin are a faction and have their own map now, a new a map for them, a breach map. So I really hope, I really want to see that they do an upgrade on the map in the future, that they put in that you can have that you can have mini like you can have Chinese warriors similar to the knights and the Vikings and the samurai. So they be more, yeah. That thing I really want to see is more is a Chinese map with Chinese warriors. I think that is a little bit lazy. That they have done everything else, the building and so on, but they don't. But they don't have any, other thing. But it's extremely good map. It's extremely beautiful, and I probably gonna say that Sunda is my second absolutely favorite heroes of all the heroes in For Honor of all time. I think that my favorite is JJ, but on second place is absolutely Sunda. I love Sunda. His gameplay with his Shangdao, Chinese longsword, his armor sets. He's a really cool armor set, and I think yeah, like from this is the two here are really gonna play very much. Is absolutely Sunda and JJ gonna be the two my absolute favorites. I like the other Woolins, but these two are really I like a tiger and a dragon. Like Sunda is the dragon and JJ is the tiger. And so on. And Nuksha is like the phoenix, you can say, and
Round one.
yeah. And the Tiandi is like the Black Panther kind of thing. This kind of thing. But I think, yeah, and I think many people first when they see the weapon for the first time on the screen with the Harbinger, for the first time they see all the weapons, I think they have very one picture like that looks very boring in the beginning, but I think when you start to see the weapon right now, the colors, the gold and so on, and the gameplay of the new Wulin hero, the Sunda, the General of Fire, like it's a totally different. It's yeah, he's a very interesting person. For it's like you can. For me, I see some similarities with Kensei, but it's a total different gameplay style you do with Sunda. But this is some similarity with his sword. It's a very you can see they are influenced of each other, and difference too, of course. This one is absolutely Chinese warriors of the Ming Dynasty, of the Ming Dynasty, and you can very beautiful handle. It's I think for me this was really that what I want to see for the warriors. For me it's like finally we have a Chinese warrior with a long sword that similar to the samurai have. But I think people some like to play Kensei, but they like much more Chinese armors, Chinese warriors. Gonna love this warrior. He play different from Kensei, but he have similar sword as Kensei. So yeah.
Victory.
So what kind of faction probably I want to see in the new For Honor game, in For Honor 2 in the future, or if they do For Honor 2, I really want to see a new For Honor 2, a new game as a For Honor 2 with in the future. The faction I really want to see is number one for me is a Indian faction as like Rajput and the Mughals and Maratha, and the second one is a Persian faction with Persian warriors, like from different time period, like from the Sassanids, the Parthians, and of course this kind of period, and the other faction, the third faction for me is native North American warriors, like the Haida, the Kalik, like a Haida faction. I really want to see. It would be very cool to see like a Haida. You can fight in Haida village. So Haida is the third one for me. And the other faction I really want to see is a Sudanese faction, an African faction, like a Sudanese Sandy, and a Zulu. I think that should be very, very cool in this kind of game to see a Zulu or and a Tuareg warrior as a African faction. So I really, really want to see. And after that is some South Asian faction like Vietnamese and Camarians, like Cambodian, and Champas, this kind of faction. Because I want so many different factions is because the more faction we have in the For Honor game, the more maps we gonna get for the next For Honor game that I want to see. So I think that is a very, very nice, the more different culture of the warrior, the more different map we're gonna get, and that is very, very nice. But I think that it's very, very cool to see something like uncommon in video game, as a simple like as a Persian castle or Persian city, or an North African city like a castle, this kind of thing. I think it's more I really want to see variation of culture, architecture in this kind of game, because I really like that. I really enjoy when something is very different, very special built, and things like we all people like to have played For Honor or play other games like Dynasty Warrior, ZHANHU, and many other games. We are so usual to see fantasy, historical kind of mix of Japanese and European time period in video game. I really, really want to see something else, something new, and like a African city and a South Asian city like in Angkor Wat or in other places. Something like even maybe some Korean maps would be very nice too to see, of course. And a Celtic map, like if it's many different, like, because it's a very simple word to use. The Celt is a very simple word, but simple if it's many different culture of the people that the Greek and the Roman called the Celts, like the Liberian and the people in Turkey, in France, in Germany, in Switzerland, and so on, so on, so on. So there's many different versions we can use, like a Celtic faction. There's so many different armor, weapons they can take on. Like they can put that in a Pictish warrior. They can put this and a Spanish Celtic warrior with his falcata. This kind of things. Many different weapons the Celtic warriors could have in the faction. For the Celtic faction, you can have different tattoos for the Picts, like so on, and yeah.
Round 3.
So there's many things that can make for a new For Honor game. There's many warriors that are not so we can put it that they can put in the game with unique weapons and so on. So that is a big. I think you can even make like if you like a 5 or 8 or 10 For Honor games, just because there's so many warriors through history that not so many people are not so common for many people as the samurai, as the knights, as the Viking are, and of course the Chinese warriors. I like. It's very popular with samurai warriors, like with the katana and the kinabu and the onis and this kind of thing. It's very popular with them, and I really understand that they are popular. They are very good to put. They are very interesting lore in Japanese history and this kind of thing. Interesting lore and this kind of thing. But I think the bad thing with that is many other warrior culture in history are never brought into the light, that may really reserve really should be put into the light, or should be the same praise as the samurai or the knights and the Vikings, and the Romans, because of this so many interesting warrior culture in history, that I think it should be perfect for a For Honor game, and people can really learn more about the new, try the new, like an Indian faction, for example, or an African faction, or a early Iron Age and a late Bronze Age faction, like a Egyptian, Hittite, like Hittite used iron, like early iron, like Hittites, the Assyrians, and so on, like Hyksos, many different people that you can have in a game, and so on. And like now they have, like, one example they can do, that they have like now they have like a heavy vanguard hybrid assassin. They can also take one example they can have instead, like a Bronze Age and Iron Age. That should be very nice, cool to see, like iron, like a late medieval warriors of that time period versus like early Bronze Age warriors. Of course, yeah. So that is something like really nice to see. For it's so what can I say? There's so many. Yeah, it's many things to see as a in a work culture. The other thing that what I think should be very, very cool to see is that you can use mobile warfare. You maybe can use the cavalries, war elephants, and chariots in the battle. That should be very, very cool thing. Like if they can put in war elephants and chariots in a way that you are not overpowered all the time. Like you maybe have some place to fight, some time special abilities. Then you can use a war elephant, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then the war elephant will go away. And this kind of thing. I think that should be very, very nice if they have that, and so on. And other thing I already talked about very, very much is For Honor in the game Wikipedia kind of thing for the weapons, that people can read about the weapon. They can make it from the expert, like weapon expert. They can ask like people, like simple example like Scholar Gladiatorian. They can ask the person who started work like for the Rasma Fashar, for the Persian weapons, if they do a Persian faction, like really ask a weapons expert about so they make a correct Wikipedia page in the game, that we can really read about the weapons and the armor. And this is very interesting, I think. Like we don't need to go to the Google all the way. We can stay in the game and just click on the sword or the axe, or the spear or the hillebard or the dagger axe, and so on, and the mace, and we can click on it, and we can read about the weapons and the time period that the weapon was used in that history and so on. That should be something I think should be very, very nice. What I think. This kind of thing. Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Round 1.
And okay. And when I think about I think that maybe one thing I will say is, maybe if you don't have if they don't know this yet, the people who play Sunda, is one thing that's very important is if you're like Sunda is like the special abilities with Sunda is if you're close to a fire, his arm will glow a bit white light, and I think he do much more damage when he's close to fire. So his abilities is like he's a dragon, like a dragon warrior kind of thing. Like the other one, like the executioner, the Sakurai is when she do execution on the opponent, you cannot break the execution. But the special with the warrior, the fire warriors like the Sunda, the more closer he is to fire, there's something to glow to around his arm, and he do more damage, and he has special abilities that brings fire out, and then he can attack with that damage thing when he do with fire. And that is something, if you don't know that yet, that is one tip: to be close to fire, then you can do more damage. For he's a special thing for fire. Like he's the only warrior that are something, I don't know exactly what it is, but the more closer you to fire, you do more damage and so on. So he's a very fiery kind of warrior style, and I'm not sure yet what kind of class he belongs to. If he's a heavy or hybrid or a vanguard, I don't know yet, but I think he's a hybrid. I think they are the fire elite warriors of the new Wulin hero are a vanguard. Well, I can look it up right now. You can see they say some hero. Wait a second, what is his name called? Yeah, he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid warrior. He's a hybrid, and let's see, can we do more different colors? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing maybe is if you like Kensei sword, but you more like Chinese warrior, like you like much more Wulin faction, the Sunda is absolutely the person to play, but he's played totally different from totally different from Kensei. They are not similar in the gameplay wise style. The only thing I have say is that they have similar kind of swords, but they are not similar how they play. It's a big difference how Sunda play, the Sunda play to Kensei's play. It's a very different kind of gameplay style. Some moves looks a bit similar, but the Sunda is much more. It's different, but like he's like now is Kensei is a heavy, if I'm not saying wrong now, and Sunda is a hybrid. So the difference is because one is heavy and one is hybrid, and they make different way how they fight. and so on. Of course, and there's a different fighting style with the Chinese longsword compared to the Japanese longsword. But they look very similar. I really want really say they look very similar, but also different. It's the Chinese sword is straight, and also it's pointy. The Japanese sword is not as it's not they are of course they're sharp in the, on the top on the sword of the Japanese sword on the top, but it's not that shape that the Chinese sword have. It's similar in some cases, and Kensei's handles, as I said before in the other video, is that Kensei sword is the handle is much more bent compared to the Sunda's handle. It's much more like if you can see that. Wait a second. Like this. You can see here that the sword for the new ruling here, the ZHANHU warriors, the elite warrior for elite warrior with the elite warriors, the fire elite warrior. The hand you can see on the blade. I can see here. Wait here. The blade is much more straight for the Guandao, and it's more pointy, like straight, and it's a different kind of the handle is much more like straight, very like compact straight, and a different thing. And I can see it's a continue to begin one. This one is much more. It looks very similar as to Kensei's handle, but I will show here what I mean. What the difference is with like we can see here on the Kensei. I will show. You can you see in the handle of the Kensei's sword, the handle is more bent. It's much more like a bent side, so it looks very similar. And the sword is more like a saber, shape. The Japanese longsword is much more as a saber. It's more bent. It's not like almost like the backside of a bow. In some cases, like it's more downward. It's like thing. So they look similar, and excuse me, and I much prefer the Sundas Guandao. I really like that more. It's so many things like both of them have round, the Kensei and Sunda weapon. Both have a round hilt to protect the hand. Like, but they are different. There is very much. It's a big similarity. Many similarities with Kensei and Sunda's weapon. For they are influenced of each other. That they are absolutely influenced each other. And how they was influenced is the Chinese build the sword that later the Japanese have was created as a katana, and then Chinese use different sword like sabers. There's many different sword Chinese warriors have used through history, because of different interaction with different people, like Mongols, the Arabs, and so on. and then of course when they meet the Japanese pirates, they adopt the Japanese pirates weapon, and the some of course different weapons, but one of that weapon was a longsword, the Japanese longsword. I totally forget the name of it. And then of course the Chinese have longsword before they meet the Japanese pirate, but it was a different shape. We know already that they have very long sword, even through the first emperor of China. When he killed the assassin, he drove the sword from his backside. The scabbard was a long, and so the Chinese people have long swords. But the special with this one, the Guandao, is that they are looks very much to the Japanese swords, but with of course with Chinese touch to it, of course. And yeah, we know we know that the Tang Dynasty and of course the Song Dynasty was the dynasty that really start to build create different weapons in China. Like farmers tools were turned into weapons, in temples, and of course there's many different swords the Chinese use, like the broadsword, the straight sword, like the glaive, like a Dao, Jin, Guandao, many different sword and different name. Like a Guandao was, like I said before, it's a sword, but it's much more for as when they train with the Guandao, they train similar. They train also with the Chinese longsword as a polearm style of weapon. So this, it's really hard. Yeah, it's much more. I think, but if I'm wrong, I'll leave. You can leave in the comments. But I much think that the Chinese warriors, the Ming, this sword was much more for as a second line of protection as the enemy side, as like first the spears against to stop the cavalry, and then the Chinese longsword was the second attack, and so on. So I think there was much more the second line of the defense was the Chinese longswords as a special kind of warrior weapon, like similar to the Varangian Guard, as the protector of the Byzantine emperor, as the similar to these warriors with this sword. And some people also say that they use this kind of sword to execute high officials in the Chinese Empire. That was a special weapon for execution that they for high-ranking people in the Chinese Empire, and they used that kind of they used that sword for kill them if they are special ranked. There was a special, like a very high status way to be killed, like similar like the Mongols. They wrap somebody in the carpet and ride over it, and so on. So okay, I don't think the sword was used as an executioner weapon for common people. I think then they used an axe or maybe a crossbow, and this kind of thing. They put the crossbow to the head and shoot. I think much more if you're a high-ranking person, they kill you with this sword, for it's much quicker, and it's more nobility way to die. Is what I think. The other thing, what I said before, I think that was the second line of defense weapon behind the spear and the shield and the bamboo stick wall, and this kind of thing, and so on, and yeah, this is everything I want to say, and so on. Let's see, can we play now? yeah, the last thing I want to say is like this: is if you like weapons and I really want to recommend some YouTube channel. Like one I really like is called Scholar Gladiatorian, and this man he is an expert. He's a real expert in weapon, like in different weapons, and he talked about European weapons and Indian weapons. And if you like swords and guns and axe, really look up this guy. He's a very good and other YouTube channel I really want to recommend. But if you like war history about war, is Kings in General. Is other one is very good. They talk about different time periods with war, like and so on. They are very good, and they are experts. They are real experts in that area. And the other one is a YouTube channel called the Rasma Fashar, and they talk about Persian armor and weapons and tactics they use and so on. Yeah, so if you like these kind of things, weapons and warfare, look up these YouTube channels. This is they are my favorite YouTube channels where I like to watch. I really like them, and they know much more than what I know about war, like war and weapons. Yeah, this is the last thing I want to say. Look up this YouTube channel if you like weapons and you really want to know deep history about the weapons, and if you like to read about weapons, I can recommend some books. It's like Osprey Publishing. It's a very good books if you like weapons and so on. Yeah, and this is the last thing I say. Bye.
You lost Zone A. You captured Zone C. You captured Zone A. You lost Zone C. You lost Zone A. Captured Zone C. Lost Zone C. Your team is breaking. Your team You lost Zone A. You lost Zone C. You captured Zone C. You lost Zone C. You captured Zone A. You captured Zone C. You lost Zone A. You lost Zone C. You captured Zone A. You captured Zone C. You lost Zone A. You captured Zone A. Enemy team is breaking. Zone A.
受死吧！接招！火攻！
Victory! Round one.
刀剑无眼，一因败矣。疯狂就是力量。刀剑无眼，受死吧！疯狂就是力量。一因败矣。刀剑无眼，受死吧！疯狂就是力量。 刀剑无眼，疯狂就是力量。嘿，嘿，嘿，嘿。
Round two.
一因败矣，疯狂就是力量。刀剑无眼，受死吧！射我一刀！疯狂就是力量。 疯狂就是力量。刀剑无眼，其已败矣。你无能天地。疯狂就是力量。
you